morning, everyone from around the world. Welcome to AdobeLive.com. My name is Terry White, and I'm with
Elise Swopes.
Swopes, what's up?
Hi.
How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good.
Good. I'm a little nervous. I'm just going to throw it out there. Just a little bit.
When she says a little, she means a lot.
Yeah, that is exactly right.
That's okay. It's
We're
okay.
going to have fun.
You're
That's all that
among
matters.
friends. You're going to have fun.
This is true.
This is what you do.
Yes, this is what I do.
Right.
Yes, this is exactly what I
Stage fright is not allowed.
do. This is right.
Is what you do. All right. So, if you're just joining us live here, my name is Terry White, worldwide design and photography evangelist for Adobe, and we are here for the next 3 days doing Photoshop Live, compositing, new products, new things that you haven't seen yet. We have some world-class compositors and photographers that'll be joining us this week, and I can't wait to show you guys what we're going to be doing. So we're going to start off with Elise, and Elise, just tell us a little bit about you, what you do, how you do it, where you're from,
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
you got started.
Okay.
Just break the ice,
Nice.
ease into it.
I'm going to ease into it real slowly. All right. So, my name is Elise Swopes. I am from Chicago, Illinois.
Cool. I've been there.
Nice. It's a nice city, isn't
It
it?
is a nice city.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a nice little...
Especially in the summer.
Yes, the summers are really, really nice.
Yes.
Absolutely. I've been designing since I was about, let's say, 10 or 11.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started
So a
off
couple
in
years ago.
Photoshop. Yeah, just a few years ago. Just a few years ago. So I was doing a lot of photoshopping and stuff like that at a young age, and then I started owning some websites when I was in like 7th and 8th grade. Which was a nice little intro.
Wait.
Yeah.
You started owning some websites in the 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah. So I bought out a couple websites that taught people how to create their own websites. So I did like a lot of HTMLs and stuff like that for people to kind of copy and paste and use in their own.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've done that though.
I am blown away.
Yeah. So the younger me was a lot better at that. But I just was in Switzerland. That's awesome. But yeah, so not until about 2010, 2011 did I start getting into more mobile photography.
Okay.
I started using my iPhone for photography, and that was kind of the rise of Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I built my base, is editing on my phone with tons of different apps. And I kind of grew a lot of followers on Instagram from just creating every single day and finding things and ordinary things and kind of mixing them up in a really strange way.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, so
And you'll be showing us some of that.
I
this
will,
week.
I
Good.
will, and I think this is gonna be interesting for everybody to see me create what I normally create on my phone on a desktop. I think that's gonna be a push for me, and I think it's gonna be.
No,
be fun.
we were joking about that
Yeah.
on the other pre-stream that you're more comfortable on your phone than you are a desktop
Yeah.
computer or
Yeah.
laptop.
Yeah.
Just
Exactly
because
true.
that's where you've been spending most of your time lately.
Absolutely,
Just
absolutely.
not only taking the photographs, but editing them and doing the whole process on your phone.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that starting.
For
like
sure.
tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, tomorrow we'll be doing a lot on my phone. We'll be seeing me create everything on my phone, so that should be definitely fun. But a little bit more background on like what I've been doing as of recently is I do a lot of social influencer work.
Okay.
So
Now, are you self-employed?
Self-employed.
Okay.
Self-employed. I used to be a part of an agency, but I left that and kind of started my own thing, and it became, a nice freedom that way. But so just an example, recently I was in Switzerland, and I was in Zurich, and I was working with a blog called Hypebeast, and it was also congruent with New Balance.
Okay.
And so what we did was just kind of roam around in these like mountainous areas wearing New Balances and having people film me. So I'm coming into a realm where it's not only about design, but I'm becoming like a character of a sense.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's definitely interesting. It's it's cool. It's fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Want to show our website, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Bring
go
up
to
your
my website. We can do my website.
Are you connected, Elise?
Yeah,
I
she's
am.
connected.
I believe I am.
There we go.
All right, there it is.
Yeah, so this is my website. I actually designed this whole thing myself, which is pretty.
I'd be
It was
shocked
extensive.
if you hadn't.
Yeah,
Since you're doing
I designed it
HTML
all
in
in
the
one.
crib.
Yeah, I designed it in one day, which was. I mean, I was hooked. Like once you start editing and getting all that together, I think you're kind of like, all right, let me just finish this. But as far as like the types of brands and stuff like that I've been working with for years and years now.
I see some pretty big names there.
Yeah.
And I know, like, most of us would be, most freelancers would be happy to have one of those. How did you get into working with so many large names?
It started off like when Instagram promoting kind of started off in maybe 2012, 2013. It was really about a lot of app developing, and like testing out how apps worked with editing and promoting apps, new apps. And not until like a year after that did brands and companies kind of realize that marketing isn't totally entirely based on commercial or print too much anymore. It's about the people who are, scrolling through every single day and seeing people's work. So I think.
All right, hang on. So if I pronounce your name incorrectly, I apologize up front. But Tefan is asking, which products do you use, or did you use?
Products as in like
Photoshop,
Yeah.
Mobile apps. Which like, what do you like the most? What are you into? What do you use the most?
I mean, I really like the Photoshop Mix apps because I do a lot of compositing. I really, really like the Lightroom app, actually, because I do a lot of like hue changes and stuff like that. And Photoshop Fix as well. Okay. So those are a few of my favorites.
A few of my favorites as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of other ones too.
It's okay.
I try not
it's okay if they're not
Should I name
Adobe.
drop?
It's all
Should I name
right.
drop? Because I will. I mean, there's one called Art Studio. There's one called Filter Storm. There's Mextures is also really great.
I think Filter Storm was like when I first started.
Yes.
That was like one of the first ones I ever got.
That's one
for
of the
an iPhone.
originals.
Yeah, one of the original photo editing apps on the phone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I like to, I felt comfortable with those, and being from a desktop Photoshop. Dang, I shouldn't read this. I can't read this. But no, I had a comfortability with kind of already knowing how to work editing. So editing with my phone and these simple things kind of came natural in that way. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time you show us something.
For sure. I think so too. It goes on for a while, but it's also, I can click these and kind of show you what I've also done in that way. So these are kind of like a promoted post that I would do. And I kind of incorporate the product, but still design, but still, I want my followers to actually be interested in what they're seeing. And I want it to be good for both sides. So
where do you get your inspiration?
Where do I get my inspiration? I don't know, people ask me that, and they're like, do you have any people you look up to and stuff like that? I think when I'm thinking about what I want to do, it stems from a lot of different things just in my mind. I don't know. It's so hard. I don't know what inspires me. I think if I'm being honest, like with this, I did about 20 to 30 different edits, like just trying to figure out what could work. And I think that's the inspiring take on it, is just figuring out what I like and what I don't like in between just creating, so yeah.
All right. Well, why don't you show us something you're going to put together today?
For sure. So I'm going to be creating, so this is something that I normally kind of put together. And I really like incorporating Chicago and the moon and stars, and I think there's just something really beautiful about the city, and I like using the city in that way. And I think a lot of people from Chicago, I have a lot of followers from Chicago, and I just love hearing how excited they are that Chicago is getting, you know, a nice little art take on it. I
Cool.
think that's fun.
All right.
So
I like it so far.
yeah, thanks. So we're just gonna start off with placing, and like I said, guys, like the way I'm working on Photoshop.
Yeah. So
Not
she's
Illustrator.
She's in Photoshop CC.
Yeah, I'm in Photoshop CC. So I'm gonna open up a background, and these are a lot of images that I kind of have and I use over and over again. It's just a simple, you know, backdrop of
Stars.
yeah, backdrop of stars. I'm gonna be reading these a lot, and I'm gonna feel like I need to respond. So there's a backdrop of stars, and I'm also gonna throw in my city.
Now, the stars came from, is that something you photographed or something you built?
That is something that I did not photograph. That's something I built.
Okay.
It's an old image that I've had for a very, very long time, and I'll just keep reusing it over and over and over again.
As long as it works.
Yeah, as long as it works. I mean, that's kind of what I stick to is having my own stocks that I just continuously use. So that's also a suggestion for anybody, is just always keep your photos, you know, ready, available for if you ever need it again. And then I'm just gonna add. So I've already got a moon in here, and I'm gonna throw it up here. So I always have like this little stock of a moon that I always use. And I'm just gonna place it here somewhere. We'll figure it out eventually where we want it exactly. But then I'm gonna place my city. So this is a shot of, oh, my startup disk is almost full. That's great. So I'm going to take this city shot, and I'm going to eventually just cut it out, because we're going to want it to, you know, have that cutout style. So I'm going to just do a simple little magic wand. And I might want to change the tolerance a little bit, just so we can collect more. What is important points to starting your work or project? Can I answer this question?
Yeah,
like
you
whenever?
can always answer a question whenever
yeah.
you want.
What is important points before starting your work or project? I don't know important points before you start. I think if you know like what the outcome should be, I think you kind of.
I would say if you, as far as the points in starting your work, if you have an idea what you're going to do, what helps me a lot is maybe pulling together all the images I think I might use, and maybe even putting those in a library or putting them in a collection in Lightroom before I even start.
Absolutely.
That way I'm not interrupted in the process looking for something.
That's true.
So that would be one of the points I would start with.
Absolutely. For sure. I appreciate you. Thank you for doing that.
No problem. That's what I'm here
I mean,
for.
if you guys could literally see my hands are like, I'm like sweating so much.
She's nervous. It's okay.
I'm trying to get it together.
Cut her some slack.
Yeah, thank you. So we're just going to cut out this city real quick. I mean, like I said, I normally do this on my phone, so I can kind of zoom in and kind of touch things and tap things. And we'll eventually kind of...
So you're selecting the sky.
Yeah.
All right, to inverse that, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then also that's the lake too in the background.
Yep. So that's a classic Photoshop move, by the way, for those of you who are beginners. A lot of times it's easier to select the thing you don't want than it is to select the thing you want and inverse the selection.
Exactly. So we're just gonna I'm gonna zoom in a little bit because it looks a little crispity crunchity. And
Crispity crunchy. Yeah. That is a new Photoshop menu feature, by the way. It's a filter in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Crispity crunchy.
Where did I get my ideas from? Honestly, I have no idea where I get these ideas from. I don't know what. I really genuinely have like no recollection of where.
But that's part of being creative.
It is. And yeah. It's definitely just in my mind. So I'm also going to just get rid of these little lights because I don't think I need those very much. I'm also just going to do a little something, something. Keep it going. I'm also going to...
Now, are you lassoing those?
I am lassoing these just to get a little more in depth. I'm also going to take in some more of that line. We might actually just draw it in eventually, but this is going to eventually go black and white, so I guess you won't be able to tell how thin the bars or the antennas will be.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being so nice to me. Yeah, so we'll eventually kind of cut it up a little bit more once we get there. But for now, I might... So this is what something I tend to use as well, is I'll do a select. Cut back. Oh, yeah. So I'll do like a little expand just to... So we don't have any like outside that wasn't selected. So I'm just gonna do that, and then it's gonna take away from the towers a little bit, but we'll come back to that later. Okay, so for this, I'm assuming I'm gonna need to rasterize this layer because I don't think it's. If I was to press delete, yeah, it's just gonna say that it's a smart object.
Right.
So I'm gonna rasterize it. I'm just gonna click delete, and we're gonna see it's pretty clean to my standard. I mean, that's pretty good,
Yeah, looks
considering, right? Yeah. What kind of questions we got? When inspired you to start? Whoa. What is important about making design? Can you just beginner like me? You know what? I think design is just, I see there's so much happening.
I know.
No, I think design is extremely important. I think when it comes, I mean, I always try to tell people, like it's really important to, take photos, but also think about how you can enhance the reality of it. I think there's something so beautiful about being able to alter reality and kind of give people something they've never seen before. And I think that's...
Well, I mean, just the art that I've seen
See,
you...
this is what's going to happen a lot.
The art that I've seen you create so far, at least on your Instagram and here even, is that, it's eye-catching. It makes you think. It puts you in a place where, we see the moon all the time. We see city of Chicago all the time, or just cityscapes. But compositing those together and
For sure.
creating something that was maybe just, again, in your vision or just part of the inspiration you saw of those two images together.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm going to say this real quick. So I'm not technically trained in Photoshop and stuff like this, and
it's okay.
There's going to be times where I'm doing things where I should be masking or whatever. So...
All right, so let me answer a couple of things. A couple of themes I've been seeing going throughout this. So first and foremost, people that are asking, will you be able to watch this later? Yes, you will be able to watch this later. It'll be featured here on AdobeLive.com as well as on the Creative Cloud YouTube channel. Secondly, and this is the thing with Photoshop in general, no matter who the instructor is or who the person is that's showing it, whether it's something very beginning, something intermediate or advanced, is that people watching it will be at all different levels of their understanding of Photoshop or the way that they do things. Because of all the applications I've used, Photoshop probably has more ways of doing the same thing than any other application I know. So if you see her do something that you're thinking, I would have done it the other way or this way or that way, that's great. That means you already know how to do that thing and you're comfortable doing it your way. Nothing wrong with that.
I appreciate that.
It's okay. Again, that's
For
what
sure.
I'm for.
Absolutely, yeah. So with that being said, I'm not much of a masker, if I'm being honest with you. Especially considering that I work a lot on my phone. I think that there's only so many layers that I can create sometimes. Right. So I try to stick with kind of keeping it like very, very small, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Okay, well.
Don't worry about it.
I'm going to keep it going. So, like I said, I'm just going to take this city, and what we're going to do is, I'm just going to plus that. I'm going to take this moon over it, and what I want to do is cut and match this, because we want it to be so the city is kind of inside the moon. So I'm gonna also do another magic wand, and I'm just gonna do it outside of the moon. And with that being said, I'm gonna take this and kind of...
Someone's asking what phone do you use for work?
Oh, so I use a iPhone 7 Plus. Okay. So whenever there's a new phone that comes out, I definitely get it just so I'm more updated and
more powerful, more storage,
exactly,
more speed.
Exactly.
Yeah, all of the above.
And the camera is also always getting better, so that's always nice because I shoot and edit all with my phone.
All right, so Randy's asking, and I'll answer this. So when resizing, should you use a smart object? Let's talk about layers, smart objects, mask, and all of those things that, again, keep being a recurring theme throughout the chat. Smart objects allow you to have more control over a non-destructive type of edit or workflow. So if you use a smart object, for example, resizing means that if you size something down small, click OK, and then come back later and want to upsize it again, you haven't really lost anything. So that's great if you are a person that's constantly or may change your mind on your resizing. Layer mask allow you, instead of deleting the pixels or removing them permanently, allow you to mask the pixels so that if you ever decide to bring them back, you can bring them back, and that's what masks are for. And layers, of course, allow you to work on parts of an image without disturbing or destroying other parts of the image. And those are all great Photoshop features, but they aren't necessarily the law. Meaning that if you see someone that doesn't create a mask, doesn't keep a layer, or doesn't use a smart object, that doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means that they're taking their chances and doing it their way. Because you got to remember, there was a time when Photoshop didn't have any of those features. And we got lots of work done.
Sure.
All right, continue.
Cool. Okay, so, but we want to, I'm not going to erase the top part because we want that top part to be there. So I'm just going to do a lasso tool, and I'm going to do the, is it like subtract maybe?
If you want to.
Yeah. Would you call that the subtract?
That would be subtract if you're.
So I'm going to start off kind of where the moon kind of ends. Actually, I'm going to redo that because I feel like I want to figure out where I'm actually going to reduce the opacity so I can see actually where the city is on the moon. So we want to match it up. So I'm going to take it a little bit.
And that's a very good technique that she's using right now, just lowering the opacity until you get something in position. Even though you may not keep it at that lower opacity, it helps you see through it. So if you're trying to line something up, you know exactly where it is, then you bump the opacity right back up.
True.
Someone's asking her, is she using a background layer? She does have a background layer, but that's not what she's on right now. She's on a regular layer, which is the moon.
True. Cool. So I think I've got it lined up because I kind of want the city to hit right where the edge of the moon is. And I'm actually just going to do that.
And, speaking of layers and knowing where you are, that's another common thing that, like, a lot of people are very diligent about renaming their layers and making sure that there's a layer called moon, there's a layer called Chicago, so forth and so on. And that helps you, especially if you're going to build a larger document where you've got lots of things and you may not remember which thing is which. But if it's a shorter number of layers in the stack, most people don't take the time to rename.
For sure. And
Victoria's back there shaking her head. Nah, I don't rename. And I rename only when I'm teaching, just so people that if they look at my layers panel, they'll know where I am.
That's true.
But a lot of times I don't rename mine either.
True.
Depends on what I'm doing.
Nice. So if I do use stocks, yes, I always purchase them. always purchasing them.
All right, yes. So
Yeah.
Randy's asking, did she purchase these from a stock site? And I asked her that question earlier about the stars, and it was something she actually built. But the stock images that she uses, she does acquire from a stock service.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna continue. So I don't.
Yeah, and I agree, Robert. Renaming your layers is great for collaborating.
Hey, Rob. Rob is awesome. He's super awesome. Always showing support. Okay, so I'm going to go back and do... So we're going to delete around there. I'm just going to take the moon off because I don't really... Actually, yes, I do. I'm going to put it behind.
That's an interesting question, too. I just saw pop up from Bradley. Do you prefer working on a trackpad, mouse, or tablet?
Tablet.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I guess you noticed.
Right now I'm using the trackpad. Yeah, it's definitely different right now. I feel like tomorrow I'm going to be in my element.
Okay.
I'm pushing it right now.
Okay, continue.
Absolutely. Cool. So from here we can see where the moon kind of ends, and that's going to be where the city is going to connect with it. So I'm just going to... And I know everyone's about to kill me, but I'm going to hit delete. So we've got that.
Now, she could have done a mask there, but she chose to delete, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah, this is, see, I'm telling you, I genuinely, and this is why I get afraid of showing people how I do my work, is because it's on a feel basis. Mm-hmm. And I really genuinely sometimes feel like it's hard to explain when you have like a second nature into things. Yeah. You know what I mean? So regardless, I never think that anything is worse or whatnot, but I definitely think if I was to do more editing on a desktop, I'd probably be on their level of renaming and stuff like that. But
continue.
Yeah, so for that we're gonna actually take the moon, and we're just going to do a little... Now we're finally going to do some masking.
Uh-oh, she added a layer mask.
Oh,
everyone rejoice. What?
I do live on the dangerous edge. I really do. Here. So we're just going to... Oop, wrong way. So I'm going to take this. And you see we've already kind of got... So I did a gradient with this, and that's how we're going to get our mask and kind of, yeah. So I can't really, see, I like that. I like the way that's looking right now. Because it's just got that nice vibe that I'm looking for. And what I could do is actually, I see something that I don't want in there. I'm going to just erase. See, actually, what I would normally do, and you guys are going to kill me again, is just go like this and delete it. So we've kind of got...
All right, well, here, you know what? Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
And maybe this will help calm people down a little bit in the chat.
Yes.
Have you ever made a mistake in Photoshop where you wished you had a mask or a layer? Like you deleted something, you say, oh, man, now I want some of that back. No?
I mean, yeah, but then I'll just press the back button.
Okay, so...
I mean, I know...
That's what undo is for. That's what the history panel's for.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, honestly, there probably is times, genuinely, okay. But, if we're, talking realistically for what I do in the editing on the phone, I think there's no room to do much masking.
Yeah.
So... if I mess up, I gotta hit the back button, back whatever, and just go back to where it started. Yep. Yeah.
Got it.
So that's the thing too, is that it's just, it's harder to do, and I think that's why I'm proud of editing on the phone, because there's just a lot of things that I could easily do on there. That
and I think that's what a lot of people are taking for granted or not really grasping, is that she does the bulk of her work from a phone where there aren't as many layer choices or masking choices. Yeah. So coming from the phone, which is where she spends most of her time, to the desktop where, yeah, those features exist. If you have a workflow that you've used that you don't always use those features, you don't even think to use them on the desktop.
Yeah, that's exactly true. That's very, very true. That's very, very extremely true. So you're just the nicest guy. Can I just say that?
You can say that. It's okay.
Yeah. You're pretty amazing.
Thank you.
So, we've got this going. And I feel like, so I'm still on that tool. Okay, cool. So, looks like we've got, I'm missing a lot of the antennas that I want there.
Why is she doing it on a phone? Because she can.
I can't. Oh yeah, that is true.
You gotta remember, your smartphone is the computer you always have with you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I think that's the part too, is I love being able to be in the moment of things. And I think if I see something and I'm entirely inspired by it at that moment, I'm able to, take it, put it on my phone real quick, edit it up, and then it's there for social posting. And I'm all about social too. There's not much room for me to I do prints and stuff like that. I'll
tell a little bit of a story.
Yeah.
And welcome Jason Levine. Jason Levine's in the chat. Everyone give him a shout out.
Oh, is that the guy from Adobe Max who's he's awesome.
All right. So, I'll tell you, this is a true story. So, a friend of mine who I follow on Instagram and know her in person, or know her in real life, I guess it would be the way to say it. She posted a photo. And it was one that she had taken with her DSLR, or maybe she snapped it with a smartphone, I don't remember. But it was this great scene of windmills. And across the sky were these utility lines. Mm-hmm. And the caption in the photo was, "Oh my God, I had a great time taking this. I can't wait till I get home to edit out the phone lines." And that's the point. And I responded to her privately, because I'm not a troll. I responded to her privately and said, well, there's no need to wait till you get home. Try Photoshop Fix or this or an app. Take them out right now and post it. So when you're in the moment, when you got something exciting that you've done on mobile, why wait till you get back to the desktop to have to do it if you can do it on mobile? Yeah. So for those who are asking, why does she even bother with a mobile device? Because she can. Mobile photography is bigger than you think. It
is. It's huge. Yeah. And a lot of people abandoned it, a few years ago when they really got more into shooting with DSLRs and stuff like that. And I think it's good for certain occasions. But I like to stick onto it because I like the reaction. Yeah. I liked your reaction when I told you I do everything on my phone, and you're just like, what? Really? You know what I mean? So that's my favorite part about it, is just, being good at it, but also
so people are asking, and she answered this earlier, but I'll restate it. People are asking, well, which phone apps is she using? She's using Adobe Photoshop Mix, Adobe Photoshop Fix, and Lightroom Mobile. Yes. Among others.
Thanks, Natalie. Oh, yeah.
Mobile videography is huge also. You got to remember, these smartphones are shooting 4K video.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's it's mobile photography, and there's a lot of brands that I work with who want, when you're on location, they want you to edit there and get it done real quick and post it. And it's nice that I can just don't have to whip my laptop out, just have the phone, do it all there, and then we're ready to go. Right. Nice and quick, Not hating on the computer, obviously. Yeah. I'm like...
And someone's asking, Michael's asking, do you like your phone over the laptop? Do you prefer it?
Yeah, I do.
There you have it.
Outfox is asking, if you are editing on your phone, how does that work when you need to use the image for print? I do a lot of prints actually, but they only go up to a certain size. But I can resize them as well to be better print. But some of my images are from a DSLR, and I'll edit it on Lightroom on my computer. Those are up for sale. Those are up for print. So it depends on what people want.
Yeah. And a lot of phones now are much higher megapixels than they were back in the day. I forgot what the iPhone 7S is. Is it 12, 14, 12 megapixel? 12 megapixel camera, yeah.
kind of crazy.
So I remember I was doing prints from a 3 megapixel camera. So why not?
Yeah,
if your
exactly.
If your phone's shooting 12.
It was a
No,
stamp.
I was actually I
It was
did
a
a
stamp.
I did a
Around
20 by 30 from a 3 megapixel image that looked great back in the day. So if I could do it back then with 3 megapixels, what could you do now with 8 or 12
A lot.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
or higher?
Yeah.
Some of the Androids are shooting higher than that.
That's very true. Yeah, don't... Rob asked, do I know Robzilla? Yeah, Rob, I know you. Hey. Rob is a man.
Maybe I should explain how they can win credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
Okay.
Hey!
Hey, there's Michael.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Adobe Live. We will give away some Creative Cloud subscriptions. So first way to get it, if you're already a Creative Cloud member, just it will extend your membership. So you will have 12 more months. And you just can stay with us. We will pick someone in the chat. We will explain how it works. But the other way, we invite you to create a picture using Photoshop and Compositing and share it on Twitter or Instagram, and just add the Adobe Live hashtag. Okay, it's in the lower third, somewhere here. Oh my God! Okay, I mean you got it. Adobe Live hashtag. You add it, and we will pick 10 people and announce the winners on Friday. So you have 3 days, and you can share as many pictures as you like. Okay, so just share. Hey everyone!
I saw a comment go up. Someone said they saw your Instagram and your images are amazing.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
There you have
Thank
it.
Yeah,
you.
make sure to follow her on Instagram.
Thanks.
So those mobile images,
I
you're
let you
like,
work.
how is she doing that? Is
Good
that
work.
that's not a thing? Yes, it is a thing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure my work on my Instagram will speak volumes to, what I'm trying to do right now. So I hope you guys see that and like it. 'Cause I appreciate the love. So yeah, we'll just go back to this real quick. I'm just gonna zoom in here because I don't really like how kind of choppy this looks. So I'm gonna do... Where's the erase tool? Is it right here? It's not gonna allow me to do that though. Yeah, it will. But it says it's a magic erase. See, this is where you guys are gonna... Okay, here we go. Something's weird about it.
Something's weird. No.
That's me though. It's all me.
That never happens in the creative process.
Absolutely. Is this the eraser tool?
So Maximilian's asking me which Adobe program do I use the most, and honestly, I would have to say it's Lightroom. I'm in Lightroom most of the day, managing, sharing, getting images together. Yes, I do take them into Photoshop and edit when necessary, but I would probably say I'm spending the bulk of my Adobe application time in Lightroom.
Cut the choppiness. I'm trying to see. You guys are
Does
learning
CC
with
libraries
me.
work on the phone? Absolutely.
They do.
Yep.
They do. That's the best part, is that they're so...
Also, you have to remember in apps like Photoshop Fix and Mix especially, and even Lightroom Mobile, if there's something you want to or need to continue on the desktop, you can send the image that you've worked on so far to Photoshop on the desktop, or sync it with Lightroom and then continue it on the desktop. So it doesn't have to be an end-all solution on the phone. If you get to a point where you need a feature that's only on the desktop, send the work over to the desktop and away you go.
True. Okay, I finally found the eraser tool.
So someone's asking, am I doing a photo restoration live soon? If I do one, it'll likely be on either the Creative Cloud YouTube channel, which you're on right now, or possibly on the Creative Cloud YouTube channel. I'm sorry, Facebook page. I said YouTube twice, so YouTube or Facebook.
Cool. So I kind of
Hey,
want
Levon
to do
Hall. I'm glad you think this is cool.
smudge. Yeah. Sorry, I'm so into this right now, but
And Scraphead, I'm glad you like my InDesign tutorial.
It's freezing here, no?
Freezing? Oh,
just a little
he got
sweaty.
me on that one because it's like we're about to melt in here, and he says it's freezing in here. And I'm like, what?
No one is on it, so they will fix it.
Michael always gets me at least once per trip.
Cool. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just
All right, what are you trying to do?
I'm just going to erase these antennas because I don't think that they're necessary at this point. But
Well, you're in space, so they probably don't work as well.
Exactly. So, because I wanted, it's gonna be so extra. So I'm just gonna get this and keep going. And I am working on a trackpad. I normally don't. I normally work with my fingers. Oh.
So someone's asking, where did you get your inspiration to start with moonscapes?
So I think I really just have this ultimate need to like connect the city life to nature. I genuinely think because I'm always so in the middle of so much technology and architecture and being in the city, there's not much nature. So I just think in my mind and in my heart, I'm just trying to connect all the pieces. And I never see stars when I'm in Chicago. There's no stars anywhere. So I just think what I'm missing is what I'm trying to add, genuinely. And that directly correlates to the fact that also I'm always kind of throwing in a giraffe in a photo too, I think the giraffes are not really walking around downtown mostly, so I think there's just a need in my soul that I think would love to just be in the desert but still have like a giant building next to me,
Got it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Let me put a couple things together.
So he's working on something.
I'm thinking about putting something together and show you guys real quick, but let's
Yeah?
continue on.
Okay. So we've got this going, and I'm just gonna might actually I want to move both of these, so I'm just gonna select both layers. And I kind of want it more
Cornelia
in
says,
the
"Can you
middle."
repeat what you just did?"
Yeah. So
From
I just
scratch, yes.
the whole
Start
thing.
over. No, don't start over.
How do you add noise to get that cool? Warren asked, how do you add noise to get that cool raw look? I can go into that actually at the end because that's
One
kind of
place
what.
to do that is in RAW.
Yes, that is true.
Camera raw filter. Or actually the blur galleries as well.
True. Okay, so we've got this going, and I feel pretty good about where
Richard's
it's
asking,
standing.
do you ever use 3D in your work?
No,
3D Photoshop or 3D?
no. I don't use any 3D. But
Corey and Mike.
yeah.
You can tell Terry. Corey Barker and Mike.
Oh,
Campau,
Yeah, Corey Barker and Mike Campau, which will be on later today, both of them use 3D. And as a matter of fact, you're going to see some really cool 3D from Corey and Project Felix.
Nice. It's cool. So, this is our end result. And I'm just going to add another layer, which I'm going to do is this sun. And I normally have like a lot of PNGs like ready that I use. I'm going to keep it right over here. Put it right in there. And nothing too crazy, like it just really.
Pearly Cream Cheese is asking, does Mike Campau have any videos? I'm sure he does.
Huh.
Maybe.
I think it should be the first time we will see.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Seems like this will be the first time we see it.
He does some time lapse, but that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I think she meant tutorials.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Does he have any? Okay. Never
It will be
mind.
the first time.
Someone asked, what's the difference between placing an embedded image and a link one? I think from.
I can answer that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Placing an embedded image is actually the way Photoshop used. That was the only option you had before we got links. So that would mean that if you placed an image inside of Photoshop, it's no longer connected to wherever you got it from. So if you
Yeah.
make changes to it in Photoshop, or better yet, you make changes to the original, it does not update Photoshop. Now you have the option of placing either or, placing embedded, which still works the way it always did, or placing linked, which means that if you place a linked image into Photoshop and you go back and change the original, your links will update. So that's the difference. Corey Barker's in house.
Save. Everyone wants me to save.
Yeah, I got a crash the other day. So,
Did you?
and I hadn't saved,
What?
so it's probably a good idea to save if you hadn't at this
For
point.
sure.
Okay, someone's taking a social media picture.
Nice. So honestly, I'm still super nervous. But I'm just having fun with
It's
it.
okay.
Let's see. So I'm gonna place another image, and I kind of have this one. I mean, I could easily make this in here, but oh, here we go. Great. I'm not sure why that's happening, but I'm just gonna create a little shooting star. Oh. So I'm just gonna do another layer, and I wanna switch this up a bit so that it's got a wispiness to it. Don't know if this is what I'm looking for exactly. We're just gonna try it out. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I think this might be, I want it to be more smooth.
Lori says you're doing awesome. Don't be nervous.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate it. Definitely somewhat out of my element. How do you guys select?
So Indy's asking, how do we select people, wonderful people like Swopes and Victoria and Corey to come onto the show? And I don't make those selections, actually. Michael does. So if you send Michael Chase $20 bills in the mail, he will. You'll stand a better chance of becoming a guest.
Yes, this is true.
You should reach me on Twitter.
Nice.
PayPal. Yeah.
Yeah, lower fill. You know what? I think this one's kind of hard for me to create on desktop because I really want to do this, but I'm just.
You want to switch to your phone?
I do.
Okay. She's out of her element right now, and a lot of people were curious before us to, how are you even using your phone? And she's at a point now where she actually wants to do something on the phone that's easier for her to do than it is on desktop. So
can we do that?
We can do that.
Because I'm like, I mean, if I'm being
over to
completely
your
honest,
phone.
I'm completely out of my element with this desktop.
All right.
And
I think a lot of people are curious to how you're doing this on the phone anyway. So
Rock Kib is asking, why am I nervous? So I think it's because I know that I'm not entirely perfect at designing on Photoshop on the desktop. And if I was in my element with designing on my phone, I think I'd be 100,000% more confident.
unlock it.
Is there anyone we can kind of set up where? Let me turn my thing off.
Do it on the phone. That's so cool. Do it.
Is it going to be
do
directly
it.
on there right away?
Well, do you want it to be?
Maybe not right now. Is it okay if I set it up for a second?
Set it up first.
Cool. And again, I'm so sorry, guys. It's just I'm definitely in a different mode.
All right. Well, she's getting that ready. So
yeah, I'm gonna get it ready.
You know what? I'll give you a couple tips while she's getting that ready. As you see on my screen, I've got a moonshot because I got inspired by her moonshot, and this is one that I actually took. But here's the catch. I have this image along with all my other moonshots in Lightroom, and the originals are on a hard drive at home because I didn't know we were going to be doing moonshots here in San Francisco, so I didn't bring them with me. So I was thinking, wow, I need to open that in Photoshop, and as you know, if you don't have the original, you can't open it in Photoshop. There is no option to open up something you don't have. But Lightroom does let you do something if you've taken the time up front to make a smart preview. So as you can see on this moonshot, I've got a smart preview of it, but it doesn't say smart preview plus original, meaning the original's not here. So as long as I've got that smart preview, which I encourage people to generate upon import, once you generate that smart preview, then even if you're missing the original, which is what smart previews were designed for, you can still do your edits in Lightroom. That's great. But there's one hidden trick. You can also go up to your file menu, choose export, and I'm going to export this to the desktop, and I can choose the file format to export this to. I can even export it back out and create a raw file from it, even though I don't have the original. Now, what's the difference? Since I don't have the original, this is going to be a much smaller raw file than the original. This was taken with a D810 Nikon, which means it was a 36 megapixel image from the beginning. Now it's a smart preview, which means it's only 2048 pixels on the longest dimension, so it's going to be a much smaller file, but at least it will be a raw file and I'll be able to edit it. All right, so I'm going to say make it a DNG and save it to the desktop and export, and it's going to say there's one already there because I just did this a minute ago. I'm going to say use a unique name, so that will just make a second copy. So there it is. I was able to rescue the raw file that I really want to work with, even though I don't have it with me. So again, I'm just doing a tutorial, so it doesn't matter if it's smaller. Now if I double click on that, it'll open in Photoshop in Camera Raw. It'll show me, hey, this isn't set up the way you had it before, which I can go ahead and just shift double click these and bring them back in. And now when I open up this image, I was able to get an image that I don't have with me open in Photoshop to be able to work with. No, it's not the full resolution, but it is one that I can work with and show you some tips and tricks. Now, as far as she took her own Chicago scene. I don't have a Chicago scene handy. I don't think I ever took a skyline shot of Chicago. I need to go do that.
You need to, yeah.
Yeah, I need to go do that. All right, but I do have one from Adobe stock. So all I did was in my library, I went and searched, okay, Chicago skyline. And let me know when you're ready. I'm just
Yeah, for sure.
I searched Chicago skyline, looked at some skyline shots. Of course, when I'm looking at these, I'm looking not only what are good skyline shots, but what would be easy to cut out. And that was, part of the other requirement is that if I wanted to cut this out and put it inside the moon from the inspiration I got from Swopes. So I would say, well, that one would be easy to cut out because of the sky. Ooh, I do like that one because that sky is so even. So if I like that one, I can just simply go ahead and purchase it or just download the preview for free if I just want to test it. And I'm going to go ahead and purchase that image, and now it's syncing the full resolution down to my library. Once that little sync is finished, give it a second here. Once it's finished, then I'll be able to work on this image as much as I want, use it as many times as I want, because I now own the royalty-free rights to that image, or to be able to use it. I don't own the rights, but you know what I mean. So now, if I pull that one into this one, I guarantee it's going to be at a much higher resolution than the moon that I'm working on right now. So, for example, if I pull that in right now, it's going to be at a much larger size. Actually, it's not too much bigger. Let me zoom out a little bit. So I can go ahead and start scaling that, or I could scale it after the fact, after I'm finished with it. Now, that brought it in as a smart object, so it's linked to that one in the library panel. So if I were to go back and update the one in the library, it would update this one. I don't need that link in this case because what I'm going to be doing to this image doesn't matter what happens to the one in the library panel. Terry, do you get unlimited stock purchases for being an evangelist? No. As a matter of fact, they're very limited. All right. So with that said,
because we pay fees.
Yeah, because even though I use that image as an employee, that photographer just got paid. So that's why we don't get an unlimited use even for employees. All right, so now that I've got this image in place, and let's go full screen here. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to take that layer and I'm going to do what we saw Swopes do earlier. I am going to rasterize it because I don't want the link I don't want the link back to the original. So I don't want to have any restrictions on the editing. Now, as far as cutting this out, I could do it the way she did with the magic wand, because again, that sky is nice and even. I could use select and mask, again, because the sky is nice and even. I could use the eraser tool. I could use Smart Eraser. I could use a mask. I could use a ton of different ways to do this. And that's the point that I was making earlier, is that there are several ways. And a lot of times I'm sitting here thinking, which way do I want to do it of the dozen ways I have a choice of doing? So let's try the magic wand, since that's what she used. I've got the magic wand tool here, and if I click, now of course that's going to be based on my tolerance, and my tolerance was set to 32, which is the default. And again, because I knew that sky was even, it did a fantastic job of selecting that. Now, like hers, it did cut off the antennas because the antennas kind of blended into the sky. So if I want those back, I'd have to add them in. Now, here's the difference, and this is what people were, saying, oh no, you should do this, or you should do it this way. And again, it's up to you, it's your way. If I hit the delete key, that sky's gone. Those pixels are gone. Is that okay? It depends. I could hit the delete. Oh no, the sky's gone. It's gone. Oh my God, I'm in trouble. The Photoshop police are coming now. If I delete the sky, all that means is that if I ever want that sky back, it's going to be a lot harder to get back. Mm-hmm. I'm probably not going to want the sky back in this case, so that would be okay to delete it. The other option for people that are trying to learn one way versus the other is, instead of deleting it, by the way, I just did an undo, is to go over to your layer mask. I always do it wrong. Hold down your Option or Alt key and click to add a mask. So what that did was it just hid the sky behind that mask, and so the sky is still there. I still have access to those pixels. So that way you've got the ability to always come back to it if you need to. No, don't delete it. Yes. So it's totally up to you. And if we jump out of that. Okay. So now that I've got the sky gone, and I've got a totally unrealistic image now of that blue and green on the moon, which is nice and grayscale. Let's go ahead and Command T or Control T on Windows, and we can go ahead and scale that. Now, you know what? Instead of scaling that one, let me leave that one the way it is. Let me go to the background. And because the background is locked, because you got to remember I opened that from the original RAW file, here's a tip for those of you who are fairly new to CC, is there you used to have to jump through hoops to unlock a background. Now you can just go ahead and click the lock to turn that into a layer. And just for the people that believe in layer hygiene, let's double click on that and call it moon. That way we'll know what it is. All right. So now we got that. Oh, hang on a second. Wrong one. There we go. Now that we got that unlocked, it means I can now do whatever I want with it in the background. So we'll do Command T, Control T. And now that I've got these handles around it, if I start pulling the handles now, I'm going to run out of canvas really quick. So let's go ahead and zoom out, which is Command minus, PC Control minus. And now I can go ahead and start scaling that moon up. Am I losing resolution by doing it that way? Yep, but gotta remember it didn't have a whole lot of resolution to begin with because it was a smart preview. If it were the 36 megapixel file, wouldn't be as bad. All right, so let's get something like that going. And by the way, it's just the moon. It's just rocks. It's okay. You'll be all right. All right, so now we'll zoom that back up. Ooh, that does look bad. That did not scale well. All right, let's scale it down a little bit more. So that's where the smart object would come in, because now I'm changing my mind. So that's why you might have converted that to a smart object before attempting to scale it. So just teaching you some of the things that people were talking about. But again, it's going to be more of a background element in this case, so I'm not so concerned with the resolution of it. Let's go ahead and select it whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost ready.
All right, go to select this and scale it kind of into place here. Ooh, and I missed some of the sky, so we'll have to go back and mask that. And I'd say something like that might be okay. All right. Now that I got that in place, I see some of the sky is still left from the previous image. But because we have that nice mask, we can now just go to it, grab a paintbrush, paint in black, and just mask that back off the top. And I'm using a trackpad too because I did not plan to do this, and I did not pull out my tablet, but that's okay. All right, so now at this point, it's really just a matter of how you want to blend this in, how you want this to look. So we could add a layer in between the two and start hiding the top of the moon so this shows through, and then changing the coloring and styling of the skyline. Since we also have that mask, we might mask off some of the sharp edges around the cityscape. Again, it's just your direction from that point on. All right.
All right. We should do a giveaway now.
Okay, I'm told we're to do a giveaway now, in case you didn't hear that. So, how are we going to do this, Michael?
Okay, so to get a chance to win a 1-year Creative Cloud subscription, and if you're already a Creative Cloud member, it will extend your membership, adding 1 year. You need to type a secret keyword in the chat. Okay, so we will start with something easy. You need to type where is Elise from, like which city in the US. Okay?
Which city is she from? And if you haven't figured that out by now, you don't deserve to win. So they just start typing it now?
Yeah.
All right.
Now.
Start typing the name of the city that she's from in the chat right now.
Okay.
And there's
you want to plug your phone, Elise? I will just check that it works.
Yep.
You ready? Can you see it?
Yes.
There it is. Okay, it's up.
Okay. Can we switch to the phone?
We can.
Yeah. You can continue. I will announce the winner.
Okay. All right, I see some names coming in.
Boom, 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 boom.
It's pretty unanimous at this point.
Woo!
Chicago.
Holy moly!
I saw New York go by.
Yeah. That tends to
Someone's
happen.
being different.
Germany.
No, not where are you from? Where are you from?
Okay, we'll ask Nightbot to pick someone now.
All right, this is all robotic and computer generated.
Is it?
And the
That's
winner
cool.
is...
Nightbot is picking someone. Don't blame us. Blame Nightbot.
Okay, it's Lucian
Lucian?
Moldovan. Yeah, Lucian Moldovan.
Can you type-
Congratulations.
Lucian
Congrats.
Moldovan.
And Lucian, if you can type in the chat your Twitter account, I will contact you. But I will find him.
All right, so Lucian Moldovan. What is it?
Moldovan.
Moldovan. Lucian Moldovan has won a year of Creative Cloud. So if you
Ooh,
already have
that's
Creative
awesome.
Cloud, you just extended a year. If you don't have it, you just got a year.
Nice.
All right.
That's cool.
So we're ready to switch to her phone now.
Yeah,
I've
so-
stalled long enough.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that.
That's okay.
I'm very sorry, you guys.
That's why we didn't put you up here alone.
Well, this is, I mean, you know, when it
I
comes
know.
to live, I know there's a lot that
There's a
goes
lot that
on,
could
you
go
know?
wrong. I
Yeah.
know, it's live.
It's true. But, so I'm going to close
Yes,
my
you
laptop
can-
because
you
we're
can-
done with that.
You can stop typing in Chicago now. We have a winner.
Cool. So these, I'm going to actually switch out from my original edit because this is one of my edits that I do have done a few times, and it's melding. What I normally do is meld the city with nature, and so we're gonna see how I kind of pull that all together, and yeah. So I'm doing this in Photoshop Mix, and I started off with just uploading a layer that's my background. I shot this in Chicago from the top of the Willis Tower, if anyone's ever been. And it is...
Also, tell them which app you're in. Right
Yeah, I'm in Photoshop Mix right now.
Photoshop Mix.
Photoshop Mix.
And Photoshop Mix is a free app from your respective app store. So it's free on iOS and it's free on Android.
Yes, very. Yeah, so I started off with this background layer. I've used this quite a few times, and this time around I've actually brought it into the Lightroom app first, and I switched the hues up a little bit just so it's not from the original color that it was. And so I'm gonna take that original layer and I'm going to add some water, and I'm taking this image, and it's going to ask you if you want to resize the image with the one that you just uploaded. So I'm going to say no, because we want the original size of the crop to be there. So I'm just going to take this and kind of match it up with the top. And the nice thing about Photoshop Mix is that it's got this really, really cool cutout tool. And the cutout tool is very helpful when it comes to kind of blending images together and obviously compositing things. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add the top part. And what we want to do eventually, because we don't want it to be so choppy with that cutout, is that we're going to do a refine. Actually, let's do, try to figure out how we get it. Oh, so this is going to be in the later half. I feel like the cutout normally has a blend. Maybe that's what's happening here. So I'm going to do the cutout again. And I'm actually going to redefine this time. So I'm going to feather it a lot more so that it kind of blends rather than the edges. See, this is where I'm looking for. So we want a kind of like a fuzzy edge with a nice feather on it. And that's going to allow the image to actually blend a lot better instead of it being super choppy. So we're just going to add and use the Smart tool to get that. And you see how that kind of switched up right there real quick, how it's got a softer edge to it. And with that, that's how we instead of using a mask while doing a gradient, we're just gonna do the cutout and just redefine it and make sure that that's feathering. So click.
So let me answer a couple of these while
Yeah,
you
for
keep
sure.
working. So Gojo's asking, does Photoshop work on a Kindle Fire tablet? It does if you can load Android apps on that tablet, because you can get the Android version. So I've never used Photoshop on a phone before. Old school am I? Like that
It's
one.
a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of
Right,
there's a lot.
and someone's asking, just a technical thing, how did we connect your phone so we could see it, and it is via HDMI.
Yeah.
So she's plugged in just like her computer was. As a matter of fact, in place of her computer.
Yes. Okay, cool. So we've got that going. I like that it kind of blends out, and we can obviously play back with it too. If you go back to the cutout, you can subtract, if you don't want as much water or something like that. But I kind of even want
And when I started using Photoshop Mix, that was one of the things I had missed. I'm not sure where along the way they added the ability that if the cutout didn't quite work out the way you want it, you could always go back to cutout and pick up where you left off. And I always thought when you went back to cutout again, it would be starting a new cutout.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't. And so
Yeah, that's a
nice add-on that they snuck in there along the way.
Exactly. It's super nice. So you can always go back
Right.
and, fix it. So I'm going to add a little bit more. And that's the cool thing. It's got this smart cutout thing where it kind of collects and figures out for itself kind of what you want to be added or subtracted.
And Gio's asking, are you shooting the photos and content you're blending? Like, did you shoot those?
So yes, the bottom one I shot, but the top one is the stock image that I purchased. But I could easily have shot that at the lake, so that's a nice part about it.
Trip to the lake or search in Adobe Stock?
Yeah, Adobe Stock.
Yeah,
But that's the graphic designer
win
in me,
that
I think.
time crunch every time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Trip to the lake is nice, though.
It is. Yeah. It really is.
But then you got to have the right sunset and the right sky and the right clouds and the right
Exactly.
time and time to get there. And
yeah. And I've got a whole folder full of tons of things that I shot, but if we're being on the fly at this very moment, I'm just gonna use the stocks that I have.
That's a good question. So Levon's asking, do you ever use a stylus with your phone?
I don't. I never, Levon, I do not use a stylus. I use this little finger right here. This creates it. Dakpa says I'm going to strain my eyes. I have really good vision. So that's good. But the phone is pretty small, so anyway, so yeah, so I'm just gonna.
And Joe said something that was the whole point of this. Man, I wish Photoshop had that. That's why she switched to her phone, because there was something she wanted to do that was either easier to do on the phone, or Photoshop didn't necessarily have that specific feature.
Yeah, and I think, and that's a huge part about why I do what I do, is that just showing people that there isn't an end-all be-all to editing, and I think anyone is able to learn, especially with the easy ability that Photoshop has made, that makes it,
Nice sky
so
replacement,
easy to.
I'm digging that.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Cool. So then I'm gonna add some images of a bird, and this bird is gonna go probably over here
Now, while
somewhere.
she's doing the bird, that's another fairly recent Photoshop Mix addition, is that back in the original Photoshop Mix, you could only have 2 layers. So you had to decide what was going to be that second layer, and then composite it down and add another layer.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to do that. Now she's got 3 layers.
Exactly.
So she can keep going.
Yes, this is very true. So I'm gonna go ahead and go for the cutout tool again. And with this, I'm actually just gonna add the bird. And what we want, we don't need the feathers so much as we did in the last one, because it doesn't really need to be blended in that way. So I'm just going to, and then we could also invert too, which I like, because in case if you do want to add, see, I'm adding the bird right now. And it's got, see how we can either invert, outvert, so that's nice.
So Scraphead's asking, can you save in a print format like CMYK? And unfortunately not directly from Mix, but you can send this composite from Mix to Photoshop on the desktop, click CMYK, and you're done.
True that. So I don't want all this extraness.
They are also available for Android Gen.
And this is just such a fun tool that anyone can kind of use without having to have much, ability and kind of getting right in those corners. And I'm still gonna subtract a little bit in here and see how nice that is.
Right.
That's
Here's
just
another
clean.
here's another workflow for those of you thinking phone small, finger big, don't have the stylus.
Yeah.
Is that project that she started on Photoshop Mix on a phone, if you do have a tablet, like an iPad or tablet, you can, projects that are saved are automatically synced. So you can open that project right where you left off, even though you didn't create the images or take the images with the iPad, and continue the work on the bigger screen, or for example, with an iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil.
And we're just gonna keep on.
Oh, I think we got some people that are changing their opinions here. That's pretty good for a phone. Looks like a cool app. So easy. Cool.
See, this is why I'm glad we switched it up, so that you guys can actually see.
go.
I actually know what I'm doing. So yeah.
It's just so weird. We're not used to people that are more comfortable on their phones than they are on the desktop.
Exactly. That's very true. So yeah, I mean, I've got this
So how do
bird cut out.
Olivia is asking, how do you go back to refining the cutout? Just go back to cutout, and you're right back where you left off. You want to keep working on it.
Exactly. And you can see me, I'm kind of hovering over my phone, because when I'm editing, I'm like right in here with it.
This has changed my Y life.
Nice. So now we've got our bird.
How do you undo? There's an undo button at the top. So see that little backward circle? That's the undo button.
So we've got that, and I like to resize, the actual document, just so I can get a full view of everything. But it's cool too, because we can kind of click on different layers. I think that's the really fun part about it too, is that you can kind of just tap on something and.
Yes, Warren, when you send it over to Photoshop on the desktop, it is layered. So it's everything with the same mask and everything that she created here.
Super cool.
Same layers, same everything.
Yes. Okay, cool. So with this, what I'd want to do is at this point,
And yes, you can save your work for later editing. The project's automatically saved. So once you leave the project, it's there in Photoshop Mix until you delete it.
So what I want to do is kind of, so when I have like an image where all the pieces are different colored, I kind of want to just merge all the layers and do, can you show how tightly you can zoom? Yeah, Lori, I can show how tight I can zoom. Yeah. See
Zoom up there.
I'm all up in here.
Yeah, she's
We're
we're
going in.
Too close. Back up a little.
We can go in. So that's the nice part is, yeah, you can go all the way up in there. So what I tend to do in this case is, so this is a fun part too, is that you can grab these layers and hold on to them and merge them. And with this, what I'm going to do, and why I'm merging the layers is because I want to do just a full filter over the whole thing.
So Loreline's asking, how do I find this on Android? You go to your Google Play Store, search for Adobe Photoshop Mix, as well as Fix while you're there, and download them. They're free.
Cool. Yes. They're super awesome,
Yes.
honestly. Cool. So I'm going to actually go to the Looks tab because...
It's also hard to beat the price.
Yeah, free. That's not bad at all.
Right.
Not bad at all. So I'm gonna look through some of the filters that Adobe has for us, and this normally. See, I'm gonna take this into Lightroom after this, just so I can change the hues a little bit, because the hues are a little different, but actually feel like it's very muted, but you can see how once we get there to that stage, you can kind of merge everything by putting like just a filter over it. But what I actually want to do genuinely is take this into the Lightroom app.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to hit save to Lightroom.
Now, and again, a lot of these apps now have cross mobile application workflow. So in addition to sending to your desktop to finish, if you want to just work on it in a different app on the mobile device, you could send to, in this case, or save to Lightroom, save to a library, post it directly to social media, or save it to the camera roll. But if you do that, then it is flat.
Yes. DocPa is talking about raw images to work on the phone. I actually think that
in Lightroom you can work with raw images on the phone now.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So Lightroom Mobile now supports raw files directly on the phone, whether you shot them on the phone or imported them from your camera. And questions about resolution. And I don't have the exact resolution for Photoshop Mix. Each app is a little different on what maximum resolution it supports. I believe in Photoshop Fix, I believe it's a 50 megapixel image. I cannot remember what it is for Photoshop Mix.
I kind of want to go back to this cutout. I just love this thing. Cool. So I don't even, if I'm bringing this back over to Lightroom, I don't even need to merge the layers. And Heriberto is asking the maximum layers allowed. I think that it's about 5.
No, it's more
Is
than
it?
5.
Is it?
Yeah, it's more than 5, but I don't think
Should we
it's...
test it?
Yeah, just keep adding layers until it tells you you can't.
Yeah.
How many you got so far?
5.
5. So it is 5.
Yeah.
Okay. We have our answer.
Yeah.
It's 5.
5. Yeah.
I thought I could do more than that. You're on a 7 plus?
Yeah.
All right, then I won't try it. She's on the same one I'm on.
Yeah.
So 5.
5.
Now, keep in mind that if you ever needed to exceed that and you have 2 layers that are okay to merge down, you can merge 2 layers together to get another layer. That's the way we used to do it when it was limited to 2.
Exactly. That's exactly what I do, is just merge the layer and then keep adding. So yeah, with this, yeah, I like that. I'm gonna go save it in the Lightroom. Something's happening with the network.
So someone's
error,
saying, hey, do you have I hope you have a good data plan. The only time you would need the data is when you're sending it to the desktop, because once you've downloaded the app, you're doing everything on the app. You're not using your data. The app is an app on your phone. It's not using a website or anything.
Please add a cat.
Please add a cat.
Actually, I've got a cat tattoo on my finger.
Okay,
So
here's a great question. So Amir's asking, What's the difference between Photoshop Fix and Photoshop Mix?
Yes.
Big difference. So
There is big difference.
think of Photoshop Mix as the layering component to Photoshop, blending, layer blending modes, compositing layers together, so forth and so on. And think of Photoshop Fix as all the retouching tools, like the healing brush, clone stamp, changing the colors of objects, removing objects from a photo. That's what Photoshop Fix is for. So think of Photoshop Fix as the retouching tool or photo editing tool, and Photoshop Mix as the compositing tool. So, for example, if I were going to retouch a portrait that I shot with my phone, I'd jump over to Photoshop Fix in a heartbeat. If I wanted to composite that person onto a different background, I'd jump over to Photoshop Mix. Also, benefits of Lightroom. Same benefits like on the desktop.
Yes.
So Lightroom is a more of a photo management tool on the phone. It does have non-destructive edits, so because you're doing everything with metadata. It can do some local adjustments, and it can work with RAW files. So those are the main differences between the three.
And I love the Lightroom on here. So I'm trying to get it to save to Lightroom. It keeps telling me there's a network error, but I don't know why that is. Oh, I know why. It's because my phone is on airplane mode.
That would make the difference.
That's exactly why. But I also want to turn it off because then we might have some text messages popping up. So
Well,
normally
you know what?
I
No,
would save
put it on
it.
Do Not Disturb.
Is that what it is?
That's what you want to be on Do Not Disturb, but still on the network. So the little half moon.
Half moon.
Right. So now you can be on the network.
And it'll be
and
good. And I
you
won't
won't
have
get text messages.
Okay,
right.
good. Okay, good. All right, so we've got it. I'm gonna save to Lightroom. Nice.
So Claude's saying they should combine them into one app. And then that's one app on a phone that uses more memory for things that you may not be doing. So you got to remember, we're working in the constraints of phones these days.
Yes. So we've
Are
got
they
that.
free, or do I need to have a CC plan? They're completely free. You do not need to have a CC plan. But if you have one, then you can take advantage of your CC assets.
True that.
Someone asked earlier, I saw it, you asked me a question, so I didn't answer it right away, but someone's saying, well, what about Windows 10 mode on a Surface tablet? Well, you got to remember, the minute you're in Windows 10 mode, you're now working on Windows as the operating system, not Android or iOS. So these are Android and iOS apps, not Windows apps. If you're in Windows mode, then you're working with the Windows version of Photoshop.
Cool. I want to switch over to Lightroom, but
It's not using the network to save a file, Ron. She's using the network to share a file.
Yeah, exactly.
To send it somewhere.
Yeah. Yes.
Not just to save it.
Yeah. That's true. Cool. So, I want to open this in Lightroom, but is it possible if we close this for a second and then I open it up?
Yeah.
Like without it being on there?
Oh, yeah. You gotta say that part. She doesn't want you to see something. We'll switch to me. All right, we'll switch back to me.
Cool.
And I'll jump over here. All right. So back to what I was working on while she was getting that phone up together. Okay. So, for example, let me add a little mask to this, and I'm doing this also on the trackpad because, again, I wasn't expecting to do this today. Normally, I would work on my tablet. Wacom tablet or otherwise. You ready?
I believe so.
I don't want to mask.
need to
You know what? I don't
find-
want to mask this. I want to add a new layer. There we go. Add a new layer. And let's sample that, which I believe is just black. I'm just going to go ahead and hide the top of the moon here.
To find where it's
Behind that. So all I'm doing is I created a layer in between, sandwiching it in between the moon and the Chicago skyline. And so now that way I can hide the top of the moon in that layer. So that's all that did. Now we'll go back to the city here, and I want to go to that mask and go to a brush and kind of just curve off some of this around the edges here. It's a little squarish. And we'll curve some of that off as well.
Cool.
Are there enhanced options when using the apps on iPad Pro? You get to take advantage of the Apple Pencil and pressure sensitivity. That's about the biggest advantage. And a bigger screen, obviously. Okay.
Cool.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Switching back to her now.
Switching back. Cool. So this is my Lightroom thing. I've got a lot going on in there. Considering I edit on there so much. a lot of people are asking about how much storage normally takes. I mean, I've got about 50,000 photos on my phone. And yeah.
How many?
50,000.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I feel so inadequate right now.
yeah. So, you know, I mean, when I buy the iPhone, I have to get the one with the biggest.
256.
Yeah, I've got to
gigs,
get that
yeah.
because there's no options, especially working with all types of different apps all the time. I've got to have a really big.
Now, someone asked earlier, and you just brought up a point. What's Lightroom Mobile? If you're using Lightroom Mobile, that is an advantage that, like, for example, I have 40-something thousand images synced to Lightroom Mobile, but because I am a Creative Cloud member, it's not putting all 40,000 images on my phone at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only caching the ones to my phone that I'm using or that I told it to permanently put on my phone.
Precisely.
So that way I can have tens of thousands of images that I have access to on my phone but aren't really stored on my phone.
Exactly. Precisely. Terry knows everything, man.
No, I don't. No one knows everything, including me.
I don't believe it.
No, I didn't know how many layers you could have in Photoshop Mix. There you have it.
We're teaching each other things.
Right.
This is good. Cool. So, I mean, I've got this image that we just created in Photoshop Mix, and I've got it in Lightroom, and it was easy to kind of switch over, which was great. So with this, what I normally do, and this is how a lot of people always ask me, you know, how I get the hues or the colors that I get in a lot of my photos. And this starts off with using the color tab in the Lightroom app. And from there, I'm going to click this little circle of colors, and I'm going to come up to the color mixer. And this is where I'm going to kind of switch up the blues to be a little bit more teal, or the yellows to be a little bit, you know, different. So normally go to the blue, and you're gonna see it's gonna kind of, because the water in the back at first wasn't necessarily this matching teal color, and I like to play a lot with color, a ton. So there's always just got to be a lot of color when it comes to what I'm creating. So I'm gonna change that hue, and it's gonna allow that lake in the back to kind of coincide with the blues that are already in the cityscape. And I could even play with that yellow in the back and make it a little bit more orange, considering we've already got some orange at the bottom, and keep it kind of consistent that way.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to answer another Mix question. So Nate's asking, in Mix, can you edit perspectives like a grid to get the horizons to match? You can't do that in Mix, but both Photoshop Sketch and Adobe Illustrator Draw have a perspective grid. So again, that's one more trip to a different app, but if you take it to that app and adjust the perspective, then you can bring it back in the perspective you wanted in it.
True that. And this red here is just very intense. So I'm going to take that down a notch and see how that, I mean, that was just a big difference because it kind of seems like it's a little blown out. We can just take that red and just bring it back down.
Ian's asking, he's asking a question which I can answer two ways. How do you send files or sync files from the phone to the desktop? So number one, if it's Lightroom and you are a CC member, so remember Lightroom Mobile's free, but the syncing part is only in your membership. So if you're a Lightroom, if you're a CC member, you launch Lightroom on the desktop and turn on your Lightroom Mobile syncing. That way, any collections that are synced on the phone automatically sends the images to the desktop. So you don't even have to do anything. It just happens automatically. And if you're a Creative Cloud member and you have Photoshop Mix or Fix, there is a send to Photoshop choice. Can you show? Oh, you're in Lightroom. Never mind.
Yeah.
When she switches back to Mix, there is a send to desktop that will actually send the layered file. It'll just sync it via Creative Cloud to your Creative Cloud folder and open it up in Photoshop. So that is how you would send it from the phone.
Cool. And I'm pretty happy with the colors of this. And it's nice because we can just click up here in this little box. And you can...
And JLM, yes, there is a before and after mode. I know there's one in Fix. I can't remember if there's one in Mix. I don't think there's one in Mix because it would be a before and after layer. So I don't think there's one in Mix. But in Fix, it's I believe, a 3-finger hold down, or actually there's a button for it in the upper left-hand corner to see the before and after.
I think someone was asking actually earlier as well that if there's ways to adjust, the whites and the blacks and exposure and all that. And this is in this nice little light area.
Ryan, your question about is it a preference or is it just a preference to use Lightroom for the color adjustments? It's a preference on my part because it's non-destructive.
Yeah.
All these adjustments she's making the color, if she decides to change them, they haven't permanently adjusted the image.
Exactly. And I've used other apps and it kind of blows them out. And I just think genuinely, I go to Lightroom every time for hue change.
Yeah, because in most apps, when you adjust the colors, you are physically changing the image.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas in Lightroom, you're not.
Yeah, and then you'll get that like blown out kind of pixel, kind of feel. Yeah. So, and I might even play with the exposure a little bit. Build up the contrast or maybe lower it. And then I normally sometimes actually lower the highlights just because I think it gives it more of a deep look. And the shadows too, might do a little something. But I feel pretty good about this one. And so and this is a nice option too, is it's got image size options, so you can do maximum available, which I think is normally almost like 3,000 by maybe 5. Goes up to 5,000.
What size are you referring to?
How big this maximum will go when I save it.
From Lightroom?
Yeah.
Well, I think Lightroom's going to keep it in whatever resolution it was
What
in.
it was, yeah.
But if it started as a Lightroom mobile image, then it's going to be 2,048 pixels on the longest edge.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Depends on where it started.
Yeah. True that. Cool. So I'm happy about this. And I'm actually going to go back into Photoshop Mix and maybe show another edit. But before I do that, does anyone have any questions on this edit?
Questions on the edit. I've been seeing all kinds of other questions.
Yeah. There are nice little questions. What app is this? This app, Trevor, is Lightroom for mobile.
There are no smart objects in the mobile apps at this point, Ryan.
Cool. I'm actually going to go back into Photoshop Mix.
While you're there, tap the share button.
Share.
All right, you see that option in the upper right-hand corner that says send to Photoshop CC?
Yes.
That's how you would send this particular layered Photoshop file through the internet, so that's why the data plan would be needed, to the desktop. So it would just, open up in Photoshop automatically on the desktop if she were to send it. But that's the only time it's using data. All right, continue.
Claude, have I printed images from my phone? Yes. I definitely print images from my phone very often. I actually have a web store on my website where I print up to 16 by 20, and they always come out super, super crispy and nice. Crispity crunchity.
Crispity crunchity. A new filter coming soon.
Crispity crunchity Butterfinger.
Is there a motion blur or something like that?
I want to
Motion
say
blur.
that. I mean, there are.
Fix doesn't have one. There's a blur tool in Photoshop Fix.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's specifically a motion blur filter. I haven't seen.
No, I don't
I
think
can't
so.
think of one. No.
Not
So-
in the Adobe apps.
Yeah, not in the Adobe apps.
But I definitely have
that's
some other apps that I might be able to share later. Do I ever live stream, Levon? No, I don't. I'm terrified.
She's very I had to pull her down off the ceiling earlier today because she was so nervous.
I think tomorrow I'll be way more comfortable.
Yeah.
I'll be super ready. I'm excited about that.
So someone's asking, how do you print from your phone?
How do I print from my phone? I upload it to Lightroom on desktop, and then I have a printer at home that I edit from. So I'll do a few little, I can move from my phone that I print from. So I just simple little print.
So Blaine's asking a good question. This is one that I was frustrated with early on with the mobile apps, but it's been solved by a couple of ways. Blaine's asking, can you add text or just image editing? So Photoshop Mix, Fix, and Lightroom don't have text, but Adobe Comp CC does have text. As a matter of fact, very nice text with typekit fonts. And also, you can add text to an image with Spark Post. So both of those are free as well. So if you get Adobe Spark Post, you can add text. You can that's for creating all kinds of social media posts, and it's got all kinds of presets and templates for text. Or if you just want to add your own custom design text to it, then you can just add the image to a layout in Comp CC, and then put whatever text wherever you want on it using fonts as well.
True that. Gojo is asking, do I have a YouTube channel? Nope.
She's not a streamer or video person.
I'm trying. I have a lot of YouTuber friends who are really good at it. But Allie is asking, do I find when I cross over, do I lose sharpness? No, I don't. I don't think I lose much sharpness. The only thing that I would say that I lose sharpness is when I actually post a piece of work to Instagram or Twitter. That's when I'll lose a lot of resolution and sharpness to what I'm doing. And what does that mean?
No, Spark does not force the watermark to premium users. There's a couple ways to disable the watermark in Spark Post that are free.
Oh, that's nice.
Do they allow typekit? Comp CC does allow typekit fonts.
Yes.
How to sync Lightroom mobile with your desktop? Go to your desktop in Lightroom CC and up on the identity plate, click Start Syncing. Any photography tips?
Yeah, I have a lot of photography tips, especially when it comes to shooting with iPhone. My most biggest thing I always tell people is
wait, hang on. What plans does Adobe have with Adobe Comp app? Does that mean plans of development or plans to get it? Adobe Comp CC is a free app, so there are no plans necessary to get it. If you mean plans on development, we don't comment on things that we haven't publicly announced yet. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Cool. Yeah. Photography tips. So as far as it comes to iPhone photography, I think it's really, really important to always have a little, like a lens cloth, and I always have one on myself, and always wipe the lens on your camera. Always. You'll notice a big difference.
I'm so bad at that.
Yeah.
I don't always think it. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, every time you're picking your phone up and putting your finger on the lens, you're leaving a fingerprint, whether you see it right away or not.
People don't realize, and I think it has a lot to do with selfies too.
Yeah.
Sometimes selfies don't turn out, but I swear it's because there's a smudge or something.
Especially with that little, that little thing that's a little camera that's on the front. You're always putting your phone up to your ear. Well, old timers, we're always putting our phone up to our ear, and that's putting a smudge on that camera. So my sister, I remember she came to me and was like, why are all my selfie pictures that have this distortion at the bottom? And she had it in a case, and at the bottom of the lens was all this crud and dirt, and I was like, let's clean this out. Oh, magically your phone's fixed. How about that?
That's very, very true.
All right, so just especially in a case, because it will collect dust around the edge of the case where the camera lens is.
Exactly. Another tip I would suggest is invest in long exposure apps. There's also a lot of things on photojojo.com that you can buy iPhone tripods, and I think that's a huge see, he's got one over here killing it.
This one's by Archon. It's one of my favorite brands for tripods and mounts, but Archon, is it archon.com? Archonmounts.com? I think it's Archon.
Nice.
ARKON, I can't remember. But yeah, these are they make my favorite mounts for mobile devices.
Absolutely. So I would suggest absolutely having one of those, investing in long exposure apps. Yeah, it's a microfiber glass cloth. Exactly. What else? I think always shoot in HDR. Always shoot in HDR. I really love HDR. There's just something about HDR that just really captures so much more of what you're trying to capture, So that's a huge deal. Do I use an Allo clip? Renee is asking. I do not, actually. There's a new lens that should be coming out by Zeiss, actually. And it's going to completely change the game with additional lenses that you can add on to the iPhone. So I would definitely suggest people check that out as well. Yeah, but, you know, as far as iPhone photography goes, I think it's all about lining up your shot, getting it to where you do, and take as many photos as you can, because you're going to go back and keep looking back at things, and it's better to have more options than not. So if you think you have your shot, take 10 more. Absolutely.
And yes, Doris, shooting in RAW does give you greater edit capabilities.
Yes.
So that's why I'm glad Lightroom now supports RAW, not only from the camera's RAW files, but from your other camera's RAW files, from your iPhone or Android camera, as well as your DSLRs or other cameras that shoot in RAW. Do you ever shoot with a DSLR?
I do, yeah. I've got a Canon 5D Mark III, and I shoot with a 16 to 35 and a 24 to 70 and a 70 to 200. And
are you editing those images in mobile as well?
Those are Lightroom.
Lightroom, okay.
Yeah. Those are for professional situations.
Got it.
Because I had a shoot recently where I had to take dog photos, and that was an interesting concept. So that had to be different.
That's a great question. So Scraphead's asking, your Instagram feed has really great tones. Do you get that from Photoshop Mix?
Scraphead, I get it from Lightroom, but the mobile version of Lightroom, and that's where I was talking about earlier. In case you missed it, you can go back. But how I edit the hues, I'm always just switching up the blues mostly to a more teal. Oh. Yeah.
Do you have any recommendation for a 360 phone mount? Well,
you probably do.
Well, it depends on what you're shooting, what you're using to shoot the 360. So, for example, earlier today, before we got started with the actual live stream, I did a Twitter/Periscope 360 using the Insta360 Nano. Now, this is a iPhone-specific 360 camera, so it's got a lens on that side, so that's how it gets to 360. And it attaches to the Lightning port on your iPhone. And then, of course, this is the normal way you'd hold an iPhone, but this is now upside down. And so this is what I meant earlier with this particular Archon mount, to hold the phone in place while I can set it on the table and do 360s. So it depends on what you mean by 360 phone mount. If you have a 360 camera, then it depends on what that camera is. But that's my favorite mount for that particular 360 setup.
I need to get that.
You need to get that.
I need to get that.
All right.
Terry, you want to review some entries on Twitter?
Yes, let's review some entries.
For Adobe Live hashtag, you will see some entries.
Because people were asking, when are we going to do that? So Adobe Live?
Yeah, Adobe Live hashtag. Latest and latest. And
yeah, got it.
And you can do some live critique with Elise. Right. Here we go, you're live.
So, these are contest entries.
That's cool. I like that one a lot.
Speaking of 360?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which one's paid the most on PayPal? That's the one we'll pick.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. There we are. All right, so those are the entries so far. So it's a robot that picks it or us?
Yeah, it would be...
Oh, because I was going to pick my favorite.
I know, I had a favorite too.
Yeah.
Not us. You can pick one. I mean,
all right, what's your favorite?
What's your favorite?
You know my favorite already.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that one.
That one?
Yeah.
Can I see them again?
Yeah.
That's super cool.
See, a little earth splashing in there. Very good. Very good. I like that a lot.
I think that's the one.
That's it. If it were me picking, which I'm not, you'd be the winner.
Absolutely. I also like the one on the bottom, like the orange moons.
Yeah,
I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
That's very me.
That's very Corey. Corey would do something
Yeah?
like this. Yeah. Very Corey. Corey's over there. This is Corey Barker style. But there'd be a 3D something in there.
Yeah,
Like a
absolutely.
rover or something going through there that he would have built from scratch. What? Yeah, you. This is you. This is your style. Come on over, Corey. Corey's up next.
Yeah, nice.
That's
Oh,
your
yeah.
style. Yeah, see?
Oh, yeah?
Corey, yeah, Corey would do that.
Victoria's coming
Well,
on
we
over now.
know you can
Oh.
do that.
Volunteer tribute.
All right, so that's the one she picked. This is the one I picked.
I like that one.
That's my
They're
favorite.
both. All of them are really good, though.
Yeah, they're all good.
Yeah.
But those would be our favorites. But we don't get to decide.
We don't.
A robot does.
Yeah.
All right, do we have a winner?
Oh, no.
No?
On Friday.
Oh, Friday! So
Friday.
keep submitting.
Yeah, keep
Yeah.
submitting.
Now that you know what we like, but it doesn't matter, just keep submitting. Hopefully the robot has the same taste that we have.
That's very true.
All right. Let's see. Corey's already here. Busted. Yeah, he's already here. He's been here a while.
Yeah, he has. He was here right when we started.
So someone's asking, can they post their previous work on Twitter? I believe so. Yeah.
I would suggest.
I would suggest. Keep in mind, a robot's going to pick it. So.
Yeah.
Robot without eyes.
This is true.
Living in the future. That's how Skynet was created.
Yes, this is true.
All right, so let's see. We got a couple more minutes
Yeah.
left. Let's
I
answer
would
some more
love to.
questions.
Yeah, I would love to answer tons of questions if anyone has anything.
All right, I'm going to switch back over to Photoshop. All right, well, while we're waiting for your questions, let's switch over to me. I'm going to go in Photoshop and kind of dress this up a little bit more. Let's go in and let's do, I want to do exposure.
Do you
I'm gonna
normally
do
do
a
this?
Photoshop filter.
Do you if someone is editing, do you do like your own little edit of it too?
No.
Alongside?
Only if there's a challenge. Like last time when Corey was here, there was a challenge, so I used some of the images and did my own little edit
Nice.
along the side.
I like
but
that. I think
nobody
that's
ever
cool.
saw it. It was kind of just a on the side thing.
Allie is asking, why did I start doing photography? I actually started doing photography because of Instagram, if I'm being honest. I think there was just a really, really great community about it. And
I don't like it any of
the
those.
concept of obviously editing on the go was always really fun.
Yeah, that worked out great last time, Corey. I agree.
Sam is asking, apart from my iPhone, what DSLR do I use? I said it earlier, but I use a Canon 5D Mark III.
All right, so guys, one of the things I'm experimenting right here with, of course, the colors were all weird in this cityscape. So one of the things I added was a black and white filter. But the nice thing about the black and white filter in Photoshop is that if you go back to your adjustments, which I just lost that panel. Oh no! Here, you know what? Let me trash it and bring it back up again. So all I did was I added a black and white adjustment. That brings up the properties for it. And you notice that it still shows all the colors that were in the original image, even though you're still seeing black and white. One of the things I love about this is right here on that same panel, there's the little targeted adjustment tool. And when you click that tool, what it allows you to do is sample and go right into the image, because again, it remembers what colors were in the image. And then you just drag left or right to adjust your black and white. So it sees that there were some yellows in that tree line earlier. So by me clicking there, it's adjusting those yellows. By me clicking here now on the water, it's adjusting the blues, and there were some blues in the buildings as well, because remember that weird blue sky that we took out? And that way I can get just the kind of black and white that I'm looking for without having to worry about remembering what colors there were and just guessing at the sliders. I'm letting the image dictate it for me. All right, so now that we got that in place, let's go here. We're already on this mask. Now on that mask, I can kind of blend this out. I can either use a gradient or I can use just a black brush. I want to use a nice soft one now. That is a nice soft one. Okay, good. And we can just kind of blend that out. Oh, no, not soft enough. Sorry.
Am I able to answer questions?
Absolutely.
Okay,
you know
cool.
the answer. Go
Yeah,
for it.
definitely.
There we go.
Mike is asking, what do I think is the biggest challenge for getting into this type of work? I think the biggest thing that I would say is just staying focused on who you are and what you want to portray as your brand. I think a lot of people get lost in kind of seeing how other people are succeeding, and I think it's important to really hone on what you love and what you want to do. But the biggest challenge is saying no as well. Make sure that you don't have to say yes to everything just because there's money involved. I think it's really important to stay true to who you are. But that doesn't mean that I haven't said yes to some things that I'm unsure about, because that's definitely happened. I think taking a chance as well helps too. So it really just depends on, how you feel and how comfortable you feel about what you're doing. Just stay true to who you are and love what you do, most and foremost.
So someone's asking, do I ever use selective color in my images? Absolutely. I do use selective color from time to time. Not often, but from time to time.
For the Eleanor, is that Eleanor? I like that. How do I mix the top of the city and the moon? With that, you would do the same thing we did, which is use the cutout tool in Photoshop Mix, and you'll just change the feathering. And I think that'll help a lot. Oh, as a photographer, have you ever experienced Delusional Sunset is asking, have you ever experienced any shooting RAW versus JPEG when editing in Adobe?
Any what?
Yeah.
I think there's a word missing there. Any with
maybe
shooting RAW versus
issues?
JPEG.
I mean, I would say it's just best to shoot in RAW always, regardless. But there is, I think you're able to shoot in RAW in Lightroom.
Mobile, yeah.
Yes.
So if your camera supports shooting RAW, which, for example, on iOS it would be any camera that shoots 12 megapixels or higher, then you can shoot RAW directly into Lightroom Mobile and edit it. All right, guys, this has been fun, but we're about to take a break in a few minutes. You will see Corey Barker, one of my favorite Photoshop compositors, coming up. Corey's amazing. He's going to do all kinds of amazing things, I have no doubt.
Project Felix.
And Project Felix, which is a new project that Adobe's working on. Yes, I do love RAW always. And so we'll see Corey Barker come up next. Anything else I need to tell him, Michael?
No, they join us on Adobe Live.
Join us on Adobe Live. Stay tuned throughout the next few days. Stay tuned for this. And Corey will be live at the top of the hour. And with that, Elise?
I want to say...
See you tomorrow?
Yes, see me tomorrow, and thank you so much.
Same time, same channel?
Yes, same time, same channel.
And you're going to do more stuff for us tomorrow?
We're going to be doing phone stuff, and it's going to get intense. It's going to get intense.
Intense phone stuff.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Phone stuff.
Yes, Spark is an Adobe product. Unfortunately, if you're looking for it on Android, it's not on Android yet, but you could go to spark.adobe.com and use the web version of it. If you're on iOS, it is a free download as an app. All right. Elise is your new favorite person.
I know,
right,
thanks.
That's very cool.
You guys, I'm just really thankful that everyone was so kind and so caring, and I appreciate everything.
All right.
I'm excited to see you guys tomorrow.
And I'll be back later on today with Victoria. So, guys, stay tuned.
Live, yeah.
Adobe Live. Cheers. Peace out. We'll be back in a minute.